We need some air. God, I love this trolley stop. Back up a little bit. How convenient to have this here. Can I hold the bike, please?
I think they just moved it. It used to be over there. Much more convenient.
Oh, that is perfect. I mean, how many trails have all these amenities? Great. Let's pull over here. Hi, Bruce.
Hi, how you doing?
We know you, don't we?
Yes, I think you do. How about, I didn't know if you had enough water.
We're going to fill our bottles up. They put in this new fountain over
Yes,
here.
they did. You could get drinks.
Nothing better than Wadsworth water.
A lot of people get that for their dogs. TV show. I do TV show on WCTV. How about that?
I think I've seen you on there. I think you were with Robin last time we saw the video.
Yeah, that's
our mayor.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So I'd be glad. We'd be glad to talk with you.
Okay, that's fantastic. Fantastic indeed. And we'll find out a little bit about the Wemmers and all your fine activities. So we'll be back in a second.
Hi, I'm Bruce Lorincz, and this show is called Bruce on the Loose. I've done shows with the city government and school system. We did Habitat for Humanity, the very nice house they've finished, and they're working on another one. We've also talked to Sarah Conrad and Bartlett Cook Florist, and they took us behind the scenes looking at their fine establishment there. Today, we're very excited to have the Wemmers with us, Sue and Patrick Wemmer. And they have a unique story to tell. And you probably have already run into them from time to time or been surprised, as my wife and I were here on the path here at the trolley house, and suddenly the Easter bunnies went by. And it was Sue, and I did, of course, they didn't stop and talk to us, but they can today. And Sue and Patrick, thank you very much for joining us. And Sue, how did all this begin, and how did this trigger all your activities?
Well, we biked when we were dating, and we each had separate bikes, but that wasn't very conducive to communication, or one was always ahead, or we just couldn't talk to each other. And so when the day we retired, we said, let's get a tandem bike and ride off into the sunset together. So we went to a place to get a tandem, and
It was Pete's in Maslin, I think, a bike store down there. And the funny thing is, we went in and we looked around all the different bikes and we said, we want that tandem there. We want to buy that tandem. And the guy goes, well, that's great. I assume you've ridden together before. Well, we ride individual. I can't sell you this bike. And we were floored. What do you mean you can't sell us this bike? You have to ride a tandem before you can buy one, because this is either going to make your marriage stronger or weaker. Well, so we took it out for an hour ride, and we got back. We were still talking. We did have some communication issues there that, you know, we can go into, that the difference between riding a tandem bike and a personal bike, they're quite unique differences.
Sue, how long have you been involved in these ventures?
we started in I don't remember.
Well, we started riding in the mid-90s, or individual, but in 2015, when we retired, that's when we got our first tandem.
And he's in the front of the bike, so he's considered the captain. I'm in the back, I'm the stoker, and we need communication and we need trust. All I see is his back. I can't see what's in front of me, all I can see the side and his back. So he has to tell me if he's turning, if there's a bump. I can't slow the bike down, I can't stop the bike, I can't turn the bike.
But she controls the music.
Well, that's important sometimes,
there's a
too.
nostalgic song on that she's not fine, boop, we go right through that one.
Right, and I put a lot of power in the pedal.
No, and the stoker is the power. Sue plays on 4 tennis leagues, or did before COVID. She still plays 4 times a week. She walks 5 miles a day, so you put the stoker with the power. And she also has to signal me when she's ready. I can't just take off because her feet may be under the pedals, or she may not be on. So there's always, there's always some, the guy in the back, our son gives me a big poke, my grandson pinches, and she gives a little jab too. So there's a lot of communication between us. You'll always hear, if you happen to see us riding around town, you'll often hear us, turning left, turning right. slowing down, stopping. So there's a lot of bump, bump, bump. There's always bump coming out of my mouth.
Few of those with some of the construction going on in our streets.
But
No
we've
question
learned
about
quite
it.
well which are the straight through streets, which ones have less stop signs and stuff like that. So.
But we would never go back to 2 single bikes again. We love the tandem.
Isn't that great? So I guess then the bromide is the tandem bike made them get together union better.
Absolutely.
Versus
Definitely.
little
Absolutely.
parting asunder. What about how many different costumes, Sue, do you and Patrick have right now?
We started with Halloween. We were Frosty the Snowman for Halloween. And then based on community support and influence, we went to, he became Santa, and I was a Christmas tree or a Frosty or an elf. And then people kept saying, please dress up again. So then we were
Easter bunnies.
the Easter bunnies. And then due to public demand, we became Uncle Sam and Lady Liberty. Oh, and pumpkins.
Pumpkin.
The next year we were pumpkins for Halloween.
Patrick, who designs your costumes and who makes those?
Well, that's always interesting. The costumes have to be kid-friendly and also bike-friendly. I mean, this all started with us wanting to, the toddlers, with Sue's kindergarten background, she needs a kid fix-off, and she's got to have those kids in her life, which is great. So it started like we wanted to do the Christmas thing. People have asked us to be dinosaurs, and I thought about being the Wicked Witch and a flying monkey or something like that, but that's not kid friendly. We want the smiles. We don't want we get enough gawks anyway.
And we have to have a costume that is safe on a bike and that we can always wear a helmet. So we've had to adjust many of the costumes to fit over our helmets and that would be safe pedaling.
So we're home. We get a lot of them online or at the different costume stores. But inadvertently, we come home and we have to take the hat and we have to slice it in the back. We have to find matching cloth and sew it in and Velcro it so it'll stick to our helmets.
I imagine some of the activities, like the 4th of July we just had. You look forward to that. Are you asked to be in several parades around the area, or are you just really confined to Wadsworth?
We have the ability to ride a long distance. So we've ridden our bike to Rittman and to Doylestown and some of those places. Sue grew up in the Rootstown area. They've invited us to their neighborhood parade to lead their kid parade around the neighborhood, so we did that. We were just out at Golden Ridge Farms. They invited us out to be in their parade, and then they encouraged us to lead their parade, which was quite an honor. I mean, with a couple dozen little kids following behind you, it was pretty cool.
I think we prefer to stay in Wadsworth because this is our home and where our heart is.
Yeah, there's so much to do here and so many places to be and do that we can never run out of entertainment here.
And so you do a lot of riding in the early evening when the heat is a little bit suppressed. Tell us about maybe a typical evening that you would go and plan and see people on their porches and wave to them.
It all started after we would eat supper and I would go out and water my yard, and then we would just get on the bike and just go. And it sort of centers us. It gives us a calmness and a togetherness, and it's just a very peaceful time for us. And we would find paths that would be smooth, and or people would say, oh, come by my house and wave, and that's how that transpired. And we would go about 20 miles, 25 miles a night. We would hit basically all 4 corners of Wadsworth. And we plan errands, we'll stop at the post office, the library, pick up paint at Home Depot. People laugh when we have a gallon of paint on the back or a big planter or something like that.
We even had carried a 40-pound bag of concrete once because we were doing some concrete work at the house.
Patrick, it really must make you feel very positive about the reaction that people have when you go by.
It's overwhelming, it's humbling, it's surprising in so many cases. Even now on our regular rides, we're constantly getting waves, congratulations for the key to the city, we're so glad you make us smile even when you're not in costume. And then when we put a costume on, then it's almost like shock and awe that we're so surprised we haven't caused an accident yet, because we get so many people hanging their cameras out the window, taking our pictures or waving to us frantically, and it's very rewarding and overwhelming.
I think we've become known as the bike people. Kids will yell, "Oh, the bike people are coming," and everybody runs out to see us and to wave. And it's very endearing to us that parents trust their kids enough that they can come out and talk to us and just know us. But it's funny because when I walk in the same neighborhood with a friend not on a bike, they have no clue who I am.
Put a helmet on, they might recognize
Right.
you. Or
But Patrick, I think your timing, you and Sue's timing is impeccable with COVID-19. We were shut in our houses and apartments. We didn't do a lot of outside activities, even if we went to work for a while. And you really have helped many people's situation, and the smiles, I'm sure, were really welcomed by you and Sue.
and sort of came about sort of by accident in some respects. Is before the pandemic hit, we would ride the trails. We'd ride over to Barberton, get on the trail path there and ride to Zor, Ohio, or go to Cleveland or something like that. But then when they started closing trails during the pandemic, they were either closed or they were open and so crowded now that we said, let's try riding on the city streets. A lot of cars weren't out that initial time. And that's what really got us acclimated to all the Wadsworth city streets and the neighborhoods. And we said, what have we been missing here? This is so cool. So now we're almost exclusively just between the city streets.
I know you focus on Wadsworth, and Sue emphasized that, but you probably branched out. I hear you've been to Richmond, Doylestown. Before our show, you said you were in Washington, D.C.?
Well, we often get asked how far have you pedaled this bike, and it was routine that we pedaled to Cleveland and pedaled to boulevards, or the paths were great. But we said, let's see how far we can really go. We know we could do 50 or 60 miles in a day. We did that 2 or 3 times in a row. So we're fortunate in this area to have the Greater Allegheny Passage that goes up the Allegheny Mountains from Pittsburgh and then down Cumberland and into DC. So we started researching and planning that one, and that was a big effort to plan. First, we were going to do it during COVID. It was just, again, a lot of the paths and a lot of the facilities were closed, a lot of the hotels and stuff, so we couldn't do that. So we started researching. We had 18 months of good research to know almost every bend and every path we thought we knew on that trip. Where did we stay along these? Well,
We started in Pittsburgh and biked to Washington, D.C., and we stayed at bed and breakfast. It was very difficult to plan because there aren't many tiny little towns and there weren't many places to stay, and we tried to figure out 50 or 60 miles a day, and it was one of the most adventuresome things we've done. You never knew what to expect. There could be trees down, snakes hanging from trees, big things in the road, boulders, rain.
hedge balls, I think they were called.
But it was just one of the best experiences, and the day we got finished, we were sort of sad because we wanted to keep going.
Well, in packing for that trip, we can remember we laid out all our gear and we started weighing it and said, oh my gosh, with us and the gear, it's 540 pounds on this bike. So we had to slowly cut back. And the only thing of all the stuff I regret not taking was a handsaw, because we were always the first on the path and there was always a tree down or a limb down, so we had to end up breaking them off and pulling them or figuring a way around the tree. But if I'd had a little handsaw, it might have sped up our journey a little bit. But
It's funny you mention that because Wiley Gray, we had on the disc golf show a couple weeks ago, he said he constantly has to have limbs and make it safe so that people aren't running into limbs and things, and I thought that was interesting. So you and he were kind of together on that.
Carry a handsaw in your golf bag and in your bike.
Yeah, I think so. Sue, you were a kindergarten teacher for umpteen years, 26 years, I think you said?
No, about 35.
Oh my goodness, I apologize. Wow, you are a saint and a half, no question about it. But I imagine your exploits, the little children, they really get excited and they really, really enjoy probably your visits.
That's sort of how we started dressing up, because I missed the children. I couldn't volunteer in a classroom anymore. And just to see their little faces, they were just so overjoyed, and the stories, and they would just come and hug us. And he really did a nice job as Santa. He had to learn. One little guy followed us. People would follow us and stop us, and And so Santa went through his spiel, and then the little cherub said, "But Santa, you didn't ask me what I wanted for Christmas."
Oh, it broke
So
my
it just, these stories
so
were
wait,
just so endearing to us.
To add to that, so if you picture, this pickup truck pulls over and gets a little 2 or 3-year-old out of a car seat, the dad does, and they walk over and talk to us, and the girl's on his shoulder there, and then they start to walk back, and the little girl says that, and the dad turns around and she comes back and says, I want my sister needs this, and my brother needs this, and my dad needs this, and I just want a coloring book. Something like that. And so as she's walking away, she goes, I love Santa. I love Santa. And that's all we heard as the car pulls out for about 10 different chants. I love Santa. Just warms our heart.
And one little cherub said, I waited my whole life to see you, because we were the only Santa or Easter Bunny that some children have seen during the pandemic of over 2 years. So it was just very rewarding for us.
Well, and speaking of that too, is just this past Easter when we were out delivering stuffed Easter eggs, we pulled up to this one family, surprised them. They were all at the end of the driveway talking to somebody, and we pulled up and there was one child sort of standing off to the distance. And he actually came up, how old was this child?
6.
6 or 7. He came up and took our egg and gave us a little hug on the knee. And we didn't think much of it until we get back home and the mom responds in a private message to us and
said because of COVID, the child was always told not to go and visit people and touch people and get near them.
Even family members he wouldn't hug.
And so he was scared of everybody. But for him to come and reach out to us was huge. And she had tears in her eyes when she saw that. And so did we.
Patrick, I would also think on the other side of the spectrum, senior citizens, and I just ran into Lori Wilkerson before the show, and she certainly would like you to come by and take a look, but I think it's kind of nostalgia for them, and they certainly know about Santa and the Easter Bunny and Lady Liberty and Uncle Sam. I think they would really, really enjoy your visits as well.
Well, it's surprising. As we said, it started out just being toddlers, but as we found that the age groups just keep going across all lines, from teenagers that want selfies with us in all our costumes. We'll figure that. We were on the path the other day, when Easter came, and these teenagers run up, oh no, we need our selfie. We got with Santa Claus, we need it with you too. Okay, great. But as you mentioned, the seniors, that just surprises how welcoming they are. And we love going to visit them. We almost always drive by all the senior centers and wave in the windows as we go by. It's very touching in that respect.
And during the pandemic, when they were locked down, centers would call us and say, can we go? And so we would go with the director by their windows and just wave in costume.
It rekindles, as you point out, it rekindles that belief in Santa Claus.
And the magic, of just believing.
And it puts a smile on her face for that day. Maybe things haven't gone very well. Maybe they don't feel very well. But boy, that was quite a pick-me-up.
Our fathers both, that was their mantra, that to help somebody smile. And my father would always say, be the reason somebody smiles. And I think we have become that.
My father would always say, if you're not making someone smile every day, you're losing ground.
So how could you not see somebody on a tandem bike dressed up and not smiling or laughing?
No question about it. My wife and I had that reaction.
Yes.
The city, we're in the venue here at the Trolley House. Patrick, what do you think of the Trolley House? And you're in two very, very nice and comfortable rockers. I'm kind of envious about that. But isn't this a nice place?
Well, first of all, thanks to Thomas's that helped provide this to the city.
Correct.
And it's funny because we run into them we travel up in the Red Rock area quite a bit. A lot of kids there. The bike people are coming, all that. So we ran into them one day. They were sitting on their porch, and it's like we'll go by people 2 or 3 times, and finally we'll pull in the next time and introduce ourselves. Oh, we see you all the time, or we saw you down there. And so they're nice people. But the Trolley House is just a perfect venue for biking. The trail that runs all the way to downtown Wadsworth. And fortunate for us, we're only about a block from here, so this is our main highway to get to the town so many times. It's flat, it's smooth.
But we're so fortunate to live in Wadsworth because it has great roads. It's very, very safe to ride in. The people are very welcoming. Good tennis courts. The library is fantastic. The schools are outstanding. It's just so many positives of living here in Wadsworth.
Yeah, you took my next question, Sue.
Sorry.
I was going to say, why is Wadsworth so wonderful? Patrick, maybe you can elaborate on that. The people, and you've touched on so many times the people. And communities, the bedrock of any community are the people. Would you agree?
Oh, it's totally. We often thought early on in our rides that we're obnoxious, that people are going to get tired of us. And, and we've often, the second time we weren't going to dress up. And it was just overwhelming. No, you must, you must, you must.
And we tried to be anonymous, but that didn't work.
Yeah, that's the funny part of all this. We put the costume, then nobody will know us, but I guess there's only one red tandem in town. And just the way the community supports everything. I'm sure you heard that how the mayor treated us. The key to the city was just overwhelming. Our good friend Pam Douglas and Larry Douglas sort of coaxed us into coming to the meeting, and we had no clue, and it was just phenomenal.
We were very humbled and very honored and very shocked.
Yeah, the mayor had some very kind words. Her leadership in town, the chamber's leadership, Main Street Wadsworth. I mean, come on, how much do that, Adrian and Terry, they
First
lead
Fridays are fantastic.
we love the First Fridays. It's a unique, Wadsworth is so unique that people don't know that until you show them.
As a teacher, I always told my colleagues that sometimes you would underestimate your impact you have on children. And I would say that with you as well, getting the key to the city. You probably don't realize what impact you have on the senior citizens, on families, on children, and that really has to make you, again, humbling.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah, and as much as they love us, we get, I think, more out of it than them. I mean, we get to go home and relive, every hand waving, oh, hi. It's like, who was that? And stuff like that. So we go home after every ride for an hour or so, we talk about it. We just smile and chuckle and have warm spots in our hearts for this whole community. Just great.
Well, I appreciate getting to know you a little bit, and this is certainly a wonderful venue here. And I will have a show coming up. In fact, we're going to talk to the Trinity United Church of Christ Knitwits.
Okay.
And they knit all sorts of hats
Good term.
and gloves and mittens and send them abroad and help the schools and a lot of other organizations. So that's coming up. We're looking forward to those ladies and all that they do to help Wadsworth be the place it is. Thanks for viewing Bruce on the Loose.
You are watching WCTV, Wadsworth Community Television.